Hello, this is for my YouTube presentation on victim precipitation for my CCJ1629 Intro to Homicide class. Hi, I'm Connor. This is probably only my professor watching this, so hello, good evening. Let's get into it. Today I'm going to be talking about victim precipitation. I have my notes here. Victim precipitation. I said this in my YouTube prep work assignment about victim precipitation. It's something that fascinates me in a way because I've always looked at homicide as this very black and white, good versus bad situation where homicide it's a lot more complicated than that. There's a lot more factors that go into the murder of someone, very plainly. And one of these, themes is victim precipitation. It is a very controversial topic where I know in recent days it has been used as kind of a misogynistic term and way of placing the blame on maybe a woman in an assault case. I know there are many terms going around where a woman is sexually assaulted and there will be misogynistic comments like, what was she wearing? Was she provoking him? And that just cannot simply be applied to victim precipitation, simply because it doesn't take the blame off of the offender. The blame and obviously the crime is always going to be 100% on the offender. This victim precipitation simply just, it gives an idea of how certain interactions can escalate into these violent acts. A important thing to remember when talking about this subject was that it's a very small subset of crimes that this applied to. Obviously, it doesn't apply to gang shootings or random acts of violence. It typically only occurs when these individuals have previously known each other. Let's get into it. Victim precipitation is a concept in criminology. It was created by Marvin Wolfgang when he went in and he kind of discovered that in a lot of homicide cases where the individuals knew each other or there was a confrontation of some sort, the victim actually made the first physical confrontation. So that was pretty interesting. He discovered that it can be divided into two different kinds of acts, where one is provocative acts and the other is providing opportunity. So provocative acts are acts that the victim can do to help, fuel the fire in a way. This could be by plethora of things, by physically confronting the person, like what Marvin Wolfgang said, where the victim made the first contact. This could be through physical aggression or verbal threats. A big thing that we are experiencing now in our society is road rage, and a big thing that goes with that is verbal threats. So in cases like this, emotions are running high, adrenaline is surging through your body, and you're making physical threats against somebody, kind of enabling them to come attack you, where in the case that they do attack you, obviously the blame is still on them. They made that decision to attack you and make that act of violence, but you, as the victim, encouraged it in a way. So, the next case of victim precipitation is providing opportunity. This is where the victim knowingly or unknowingly places themselves in a situation where they can be victimized. They're walking down that dark, scary, untrustworthy alley at night and putting their full faith into their situation and their environment. A big situation we see of this is when typically young individuals are putting themselves in situations where they are associated with criminals, or they are associated with illicit drug activity. They are doing these things and putting themselves in situations where they can be hurt. They can be murdered. They're putting themselves in high conflict environments. So yeah, and as I previously mentioned, this theory has its limits. And obviously every criticizer is right to call him out on it, because victim precipitation can be misused. I said it before with the sexual assault cases in women, where we have to remember as a society that the offender is at fault, no matter the case. It doesn't matter if you walked down that alley. It doesn't matter if you made this guy extremely mad. It doesn't matter in the case that the offender made that act of violence. And an important thing in these legal cases is simply not stating this wouldn't have happened if the victim acted differently. The important thing is to look at the factors of the case and to look at what really went down, what caused the real harm, and how can we prevent it. That's the big thing. So now I want to talk about prevention, because that's a huge factor to consider, especially in our society. It's a big thing, because we want to prevent these acts of violence from happening, and victim precipitation is a really good way of seeing prevention and seeing ways that we can prevent things. I believe the number one biggest thing is some sort of anger management or learning de-escalation tactics. That way we're not adding fuel to the fire. I could say a good prevention effort is common sense and not enabling this person, and not, but that's a very simple way of looking at it. You have to be able to not escalate the situation. So yeah, that is victim precipitation as a whole. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you.